Now we're going to joint the arms using the cotter pin method. So we're going to take your 1 3/4 inch cotter pin and slip it through the 1 1/2 inch joint and the metal disc. And you're going to see on the paw pad side is where your joint hole is, the marking for your joint. So go ahead and using your sharpened chopstick or your awl, do a little hole and then slip that joint right in there. And just adjust it so that it's on the correct side of the seam up above. And we'll do the same for the other arm. Slide the metal washer on the cotter pin and then the 1 1/2 inch disc. Put the hole where the joint mark is. And insert the joint. Now we have a right and a left arm ready to stuff. And what we're going to do is we're going to stuff the arm and then we will close it up. To begin stuffing, you're going to get your stuffing ready. Get your empty arm here. And then I've got 3 different stuffing tools that I like to alternate with. I've got my mini cotter pin turner, my stuffing stick that's just a chopstick kind of blunt at the end, and then my new pencil with the eraser. So I'm going to take a little bit of fluff and I'm going to use my eraser because I want to make sure I don't poke through that paw pad. And you want to stuff the paw pad nice and firm. You see I'm using little bits of stuffing here so that it packs very nicely and doesn't get lumpy. There we go. And I'm making sure I place it so that the whole paw is firmly stuffed, that I don't have any open holes or gaps in the stuffing. There we go. Okay, now I've got that paw pad nice and firm, and I've got it filled all the way around without any gaps. So now I'm going to start stuffing the rest of the arm by filling the stuffing up on top of the paw and coming up to the opening. I like to make sure that that still stays nice and stuffed so that nothing shifts. Okay, now here you'll see I have my arm stuffed all the way up to the opening. It's kind of squishy yet. In the top, of course, you saw that I don't have a lot of stuffing up at the top. So I'm going to fill some more stuffing in. I'm going to use my cotter pin key, my cotter pin turner now. This is my mini cotter pin turner. And I'm going to get this arm a bit more firm. And I'm filling the top of the arm, the shoulder area. Okay, now I'm going to see if there's any empty spaces. It's a little squishy there, so we'll add a little bit more. See if there's any more squishy spaces. It seems pretty good. So now we're going to get ready to close the arm up. We're going to close this seam using a ladder stitch so that the thread is invisible. And the thread I like to use is upholstery thread. And what you want to do is choose a color that is very close to either the fur or the backing. This is pretty close to this one here. It doesn't have to match exactly. And I'm going to thread it's about a 30-inch piece of thread onto my sewing needle that I use. I use usually a milliner's needle. It's kind of skinny, so it doesn't make a big hole in the fabric. And we're going to make this thread doubled. So go ahead and thread it onto your needle, even up the tails, and tie a knot. And now we're going to come in that first stitch. We're going to take the needle and from the inside go out. And you want that first stitch to be at the top of the opening and right near the seam right there. Now the knot is on the inside. We're going to cross the seam opening and go down just a little bit, down through the fabric and up. Just take one little stitch like this. Now we're going to go across again like a ladder rung, which is why this is called a ladder stitch. And we're going to do the same thing. Take a little stitch. I like to take about 3 stitches before I pull it closed to start with. Go. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my long dowel needle, this one here. And you see these threads here? I'm going to take the needle, press it in like that, and then pull it tight. There we go. Now it has closed that part of the seam, but has pulled the threads to the inside so that you can't see them. We're going to do that all the way down the arm. Take another couple of stitches here. I keep getting the mohair out of the way so it doesn't get too caught in there. You can do however many stitches you want before you close it, whatever's comfortable for you. I usually do 2 or 3. Okay, now I've got it closed part way and I'm feeling here it's kind of smushy here. So I'm going to add some more fiber fill before we're all closed. And slide it in between the back of the fabric and on top of the stuffing that's already in there. There we go. See if it's even to me. And we're going to finish closing up that seam. Now we're at the end, close to the end. I'm going to show you how I finish. I'm going to take a couple more stitches to close the bottom of that seam. I'm going to use my needle. This time I'm using my big upholstery needle. Put these stitches in. Kind of pinch it closed with my fingers. Pull gently but firmly. Okay, now you see that's closed. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the needle, go down into the seam and come up on the opposite side, but just a little bit away from the seam. I don't want to be too far away from the middle of that seam. There we go. And then pull that tight. Not too tight, but snug. And now I'm going to go ahead and snip the needle off so that now I'll have 2 threads. And then I'm going to take one of those threads and thread it back onto my needle. And then we're going to do the same thing. Going to go into the seam. Oh, let's see here. I'll just close that up a little bit more. Pull that. There. Okay, go back down into the seam. And come out on the other side again. Very close to the center of the seam. There we go. Okay, now we have a thread on each side of the seam. And we're going to tie a square knot. So first I'm going to make sure that that's all closed the way I want it to be. Okay. And now we're going to tie the square knot right over left. Tight. And then left over right. There we go. And that knot's right on the seam. Take your 5-inch down needle and poke it through right next to the knot. And then just take one of the tails and thread it onto your down needle. Pull it. There we go. And then repeat that with the other tail. There we go. Snug so that the knot sinks down into the seam. And now we're ready to trim off those threads. Just pull it. There we go. And you're all set. You have an arm that's stuffed, jointed, and closed. So joint and stuff your other arm, and in the next step we'll attach them to the body. Now we're finally ready to attach Marco's arms and legs. Go ahead and get his arm ready. And we have the 1.5-inch disc and the metal washer. We're going to use needle nose pliers and the awl or sharpened chopstick. I'm going to make sure this is the one that goes on the right side because the paw is pointed in the right direction when I put it on that side. Now look for the joint marking on the inside of the body. And then take your awl or sharpened chopstick and poke a small hole in there. And now keep your eye on it on the fur side. And take the arm with the cotter pin and slide it through that hole. There we go. Make sure it's all the way through. And then smooth out the fabric. Take your hardboard or fiberboard disc. Slip it over the cotter pin. Take your metal washer. And slip that over the cotter pin. And now use your needle nose pliers and kind of split the cotter pins apart and then roll each half down. Let's see if I can, there we go. I'm trying to make it clear for you so you can see what I'm doing. And roll it down tightly. Now I'm going to do the other one. There we go. And now we have an arm. He's attached to Marco. And it moves. We're all set.